What's going on, everybody? How we doing out there? Welcome back to another episode of the Diary of a Balkan Kid. Bow, bow, bow. Fireworks in the background. You know what it is. As you guys can tell, I've had an energy drink. I don't really drink many energy drinks, so I'm feeling pretty good right now. I'm a little jittery, but I'm ready to go. This week's episode is about privacy. I don't know if you've ever had your privacy violated before. I remember the first time mine was really violated. I was in the 7th grade, and my mom went through my phone, and she read my text, and she saw that my little girlfriend at the time broke up with me, and I remember her grilling me about it like, oh, you got a girlfriend? Your girlfriend broke up with you? I was like, no, Mom, I don't have a girlfriend. I don't like girls. Why are you going through my phone? And that's a fucking problem, man. Having your privacy violated is just wrong. You know, it's a human right to have a sense of privacy, right? But in today's environment, we're being violated on a daily basis. On a daily basis, our privacy is being violated, and we have no idea, and we're not even paying any attention to it. So this episode right here is trying to draw some attention to the fact that we have no privacy anymore. It's gone. It's out the window. And unless we do something about it now, it's never coming back. So the poem that I wrote today is called Big Brother, and I really hope you guys enjoy. Study my search history, read my texts, listen to my conversation, track my location, watch what I buy. Document everything. Privacy is no issue. I'm no criminal. I got nothing to hide. What about my rights? Throw them aside, lock it away, put it on display. What do I care? Who sees it anyway? Sell it to him, sell it to her. What's it to me as long as it's free? You talk about the future, you talk about freedom. Shut the fuck up and let me be. I don't want to know. I don't really care. My responsibility? Here, take my share. Now let me ask you guys something. Whether you're driving in the car, listening to the podcast, or you're sitting in the comfort of your own home, do you feel comfortable? Do you feel comfortable in the position that you are right now? I mean, I hope you do. Let me ask you another question. Let's say you're lounging on the couch and you're watching the podcast on YouTube. And you happen to look up, and there's this little thing in the corner, this faceless thing, and he's not bothering you, he's not doing nothing, he just has a notebook and he has a pen. And in this notebook, he observes you and he writes down everything that you do, everything that you say, every person that you talk to, every conversation that you have, every email you send, every text message you send, every movement that you make, every place that you go. And once he fills up the page, he folds the paper up, he makes a little paper airplane, and phew, out the window he goes. You don't know where it's going, where he sent it, or who's getting the information, or what's going on with that information. Now, if that was the case, would you still feel comfortable? Now, that's a trick question because you do still feel comfortable. Because that's what's going on. Except it's not this faceless thing in the corner writing down notes and sending paper airplanes. No. It's your laptop. It's your cell phone. It's your TV. It's your Amazon Alexa. This is all going on right under your nose, whether you know it or not. Now, like me, you might have the question, why am I important? Why do they care what I'm doing? Well, I'll tell you why. So I attended the University of Connecticut. I graduated with a degree in data analytics. And on my first day of school, my sophomore year, in my OPIM class, Operations and Information Management, my professor puts up a board. And on this board, it says, "We are now in the next gold rush. We are now in the next gold rush." And I'm thinking to myself, the next gold rush, San Francisco 49ers, 1849, 170 years ago. What's this guy talking about, right? What do you mean gold rush? Then he changes the slide and he continues. Data equals gold. Now, with my background in data analytics, this is starting to make more sense. We all have heard it before. Data, data, data. Hot button term. Data, data, data. Everybody's using data. We're in the future with the data. Here at Go Fuck Yourself Mutual, we are operating in the future of business by leveraging data and insights to make well-informed business decisions. Invest with us. Invest in the future. You've heard that before, right? Every commercial you see, businesses are now in the future. We're using data. We want your data. What's it all about? And it brings us back to the question, why do they care about you? Well, data's valuable. Data about you alone is not very valuable at all, actually. But when you take 10 U's, or 1,000 U's, or 1,000,000 U's, and you put all that information together, then you start creating value. And like the food pyramid, in data analytics, we also have a pyramid. And at the bottom of this pyramid, you have raw, dirty data. It's collected from everywhere, a bunch of different avenues. You just have this raw data at the bottom. Then with that raw data, what you do is you get rid of the data, you get rid of the dirty data, you clean it up and you organize it. Then you form the next step of the pyramid, which is information. Then from information, what you do is you draw conclusions, and that makes knowledge, right? And as you're moving up this pyramid, you're gaining value. So then from knowledge, what you do is you gain an understanding of that knowledge, and you create the apex of the pyramid, the top of the pyramid, the reason why you're hearing everything, hot button issue, data, data, data. The reason why we're in this data rush, this gold rush, is wisdom. From knowledge, you gain an understanding, and you create wisdom. Why is wisdom important? Why is it important to know what 10 million people are doing, where they're going to eat, what are their interests, who do they talk to? Why is it important? Well, the real question is, who is it important to? It's important, one, to the government because they want to control you, and it's important, two, to the corporations because they want to sell you things. So what's the problem? Why do I even care? What's the big idea? I know the government needs to maintain a certain degree of the control, obviously, or else there would be chaos in the streets. I understand that. And I also understand that some of the luxuries that come with these big corporations and big tech companies having my data are nice. But it's time to reset our boundaries because the constant collection of information about us directly violates our right to privacy, not only as citizens of this country, but as human beings. We're on a slippery slope here, and we've slid so far down and we're gaining so much speed that I'm afraid it's going to be impossible to stop. I'm terrified, to be honest. I'm afraid in the future, there's going to be no place to hide, no place where you can go to speak freely. You won't even be comfortable in your own home. Every word that I've ever spoken, every message I've ever sent, every person I've ever seen, every place I've ever been will sit in a database waiting to be used against me. What kind of life is that? Let me ask you that. What kind of life is a life with no privacy? Just think about it. Nowhere you can go. No one you can see, nothing you can do will be private. And before we get into how your rights are being violated, let's level out the playing field by defining privacy and our right to it. Privacy defined as the state or condition of being free from being observed or disturbed by another person. Okay, we understand that. Now let's define our right to privacy as stated in the Bill of Rights. We as citizens of the United States of America have certain rights. And in the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, our right to privacy is outlined. And I'll read it for you guys here. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. All right, so we understand privacy. We understand what privacy is. Privacy pretty much means you're free from being observed or disturbed by other people. And your right to privacy pretty much means you are secure in your persons, houses, papers, and effects from unreasonable search and seizures. Now, what is effects? I want to stress effects because I had to go look that up because I wasn't sure, and it turned out to be the key to this point that I'm making. So your effects is your personal property, okay? So would you consider my laptop personal property? Would you consider my cell phone personal property? I would. Okay, so under that definition, under the Fourth Amendment, this laptop is free from unreasonable search and seizure, right? Nah, bro. Nah, it's not. And the reason why it's not is because under the steel curtain that is the Patriot Act, the government has completely foregone my right to privacy and yours. The Patriot Act. The Patriot Act. That's doublespeak right there. That's the most fucked up term you can use for it. What is patriotic about stripping the citizens of their rights and their liberties? What is patriotic about that? And here it comes. I know what's going to happen. Oh, listen to this conspiracy theorist. He's so skeptical of everything. But you see, the thing about conspiracy theories is that if they're true and they're based off of a mountain of evidence, then it's not a conspiracy theory. It's a fact. It's just a plain, hard fact. And after 9/11, Congress rushed the Patriot Act into effect in an effort to protect America against terrorist threats at home and abroad. Okay, it's understood, right? 9/11 just happened. Everybody's scared. We want to protect the homeland from terrorist threats. But after 20 years, no hard evidence has been shown that any terrorist threats have been thwarted because of this act. It has just turned the American people into suspects. And I got an idea. Maybe if we didn't send drones halfway across the world to go and bomb innocent people, we wouldn't have a terrorist problem. Hey, that's just my idea. I mean, what if you're walking down the street, right? And your dad's 15 feet in front of you. And next thing you know, Iran sends a missile down from a drone and kills him. What are you going to do? What is your first reaction? Revenge. Revenge. That's a natural cycle of life. Revenge. This fucking world has been built upon revenge. So for us to not see the consequence of going to the Middle East and bombing innocent people, I think it's 90% of drone attacks kill an innocent person. To not see those consequences doesn't make sense to me. But no, instead of, cutting that shit out overseas and just focusing on protection back home, nah, we'd rather just spy on the American people. I guess that makes more sense. Turn us all into suspects and observe every single one of us. Hey, the fact of the matter is that the U.S. government is unlawfully spying on us. And if you don't want to hear it from me, don't. Take it from these guys. Hold on, I'm gonna pull the clip up. Hold on one second. Look at this guy, yo. Take a look at this guy. I want to give him a fucking kiss. My boy Bernie. But listen to this.
I voted against the Patriot Act time and time again because I worried about giving the government incredible powers. And I'm afraid that all of the fears that I have turned out to be justified. Look, the bottom line is that the United States government now has phone records and other records of tens and tens and tens of millions of Americans who have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with terrorism. I happen to believe terrorism is a serious issue. I want our law enforcement people to be vigorous and aggressive in going after terrorists, but we can do that without undermining the basic constitutional rights that have made this a great and free country. So I hope that we revisit this issue of the USA Patriot Act and that we constrain what the government can do. So I want kids out there, and I want every American to know, that when you get on the telephone, the government is not going to have records of who you were talking to at what time you were talking. I don't want that kind of feeling to inculcate Americans that Big Brother is watching me.
Right, it's not just phone calls, though. It's emails, photos, video, audio, documents, connection logs, everything. I mean, what has been going on here in the name of terrorism investigation is so all-encompassing. It almost embraces every single aspect of every American's life online.
Bottom line is, if we believe in freedom, if we believe that you and I have the right to live our lives without the government knowing what we are doing, then we have got to have a serious debate on this issue. And in fact, we've got to change the law.
Yup. You heard that, right? You heard that, right? Okay. But listen, right? I know what I'm going to get. Bernie, he's a Marxist, he's a socialist, he's on the left. What does he know about privacy? What does he know about laws? And what does he know about anything? Okay, bet, no problem. Let's pull up the clip, pull it up. Ronnie Boy, let's get him out here. Let's get him going. Before we get started, Republican national security debate. All right, let's go, Ronnie Boy.
I do.
Tell us why.
I think I think the Patriot Act is unpatriotic because it undermines our liberty. I'm concerned, as everybody is, about the terrorist attack. Timothy McVeigh was a vicious terrorist. He was arrested. Terrorism still on the books, internationally and nationally, is a criminal, it's a crime, and we should deal with it. We dealt with it rather well with Timothy McVeigh. But why I really fear it is we have drifted into a condition that we were warned against, because our early founders were very clear. They said, don't be willing to sacrifice liberty for security. Today, it seems too easy that our government and our Congresses are so willing to give up our liberties for our security. I have a personal belief that you never have to give up liberty for security. You can still provide security without sacrificing our Bill of Rights.
Ronnie fucking Boyd, what are you talking about, dude?
I want to bring others in, but do you want to respond, Mr. Speaker?
Yeah. Timothy McVeigh succeeded. That's the whole point. Timothy McVeigh killed a lot of Americans. I don't want a law that says, after we lose a major American city, we're sure going to come and find you. I want a law that says, you try to take out an American city, we're going to stop you.
This is like saying that we need a policeman in every house, a camera in every house, because we want to prevent child beating and wife beating. You can prevent crimes by becoming a police state. So if you advocate the police state, yes, you can have safety and security, and you might prevent a crime, but the crime then will be against the American people and against our freedoms, and we will throw out so much of what our revolution was fought for. So don't do it so carelessly.
Ronnie fucking Boyd. Ronnie Boyd, that's what I'm talking about. Don't do that shit so carelessly. And that's the problem. That's what I'm trying to get at in the poem, is that we're doing this so carelessly. We don't care. Nobody cares. The poem was done in satire. Obviously, I care about this subject, or else I wouldn't be doing this. But the part that I was trying to play, my responsibility, here, take my share. I got too much on my plate. Why the fuck would I give a fuck about who's spying on me? You know, and I don't know if it's just because so many of us are unaware of what's going on, but if that's the case, like, we need to do more. We need to do more. We got to research more. We know that the government keeps every conversation you have on the phone, every text message, every email, and even all the messages on your social networks. And this is just what we know of. Like, how could you not see where this is going, where this slippery slope is going, the path that we are on? Just think about how much technology has advanced in the past 10 years. Guess where we're heading? Have you seen where China's at right now? A police state with a camera and phone scanner in every corner, every entrance, everywhere you go. You're monitored. All your movements are monitored. Is that where you want to be? And I don't know about you, but I like my privacy. And I think that every single one of us deserves privacy. But in this new world, our laws have not kept up with this rate of change. We need to put out new laws in place that restrict the basis of which individuals can be targeted, instead of this all-encompassing approach. You know, we don't know who we're going to target. We don't really want a warrant, so let's just get everybody. That's not how we do it, man. That's not how it should be done. It's totally wrong. Also, at the top level, we need transparency in order to prevent abuse of this data that is collected. I mean, the only reason why we have any information on these programs, these surveillance programs on the U.S. citizens, is because of a whistleblower. Edward Snowden. God bless that man. God bless that man. He's a fucking hero. He's the only reason why we know about this. And if it wasn't for him, who knows what would be going on right now? It would be even more unchecked than it is right now. And let me say one thing. This is where I stand on this issue. The government is one thing. But remember when I started out, I said there was two people who are concerned with this data. It's the government because they want to control us, and it's the corporation because they want to sell us things. Well, in my opinion, the government having my data isn't as bad as corporations having it, because we know the government is not going to go ahead and sell us every crackhead on the corner who's got $1 in their pocket, right? They're not going to flip it every which way and give it to whoever and whoever the fuck knows. You know, they're just trying to see what's going on. They're not doing this for profit. But big tech has more data on us than the government can even dream of having. And what do they do with that? Who do they answer to? Nobody. Because what they're doing is perfectly legal. We all agreed to it, right? You remember the terms and conditions. Come on, you remember those things, that shit that you just happened to see and you clicked read, but you didn't really read it. Well, that's what those things are about, man. And even if you did read it, like I've read them sometimes and I'm like, holy shit, this is fucked. But what are you going to do? We all rely on these products. I rely on these products. I use Google for everything, man. Email, Docs, Drive, YouTube. My template for this podcast is literally written on Google Docs, man. And who owns this right now? Guess who owns it? Google owns it. It's sitting in a Google database, and it's out there, man. It's out there, and they completely own it. And every picture you ever uploaded to iCloud belongs to Apple now. It's not yours. Every Snapchat you've ever sent belongs to Snapchat. And I'm sorry, buddy, all those pictures of your little wiener that are out there, bro, that you have sent in the past, they're still out there. And one day when you're a celebrity or you're running for Congress or the House or for president, for the right price, ooh, those are coming out, man. Your little wiener's going to be all over the place and you're going to be fucked. But hey, who gives a shit, right? My responsibility? Take my share, you know? But we keep going back to why, right? Why do they want all this data? They want all this data because they can use it to specifically target us with advertisements. And you remember that value that I talked about? The pyramid and how you move it up the pyramid and how you start with data and you end up with wisdom. You remember how I said as you move up that pyramid, the value goes up? Well, listen to this for value. This is where wisdom becomes dollars. In 2018, Facebook made $55 billion off ad revenue alone. $55 billion off ad revenue alone. Wow, that's a lot of money, huh? I guess not. Listen to Google, how much Google made in 2018. $116 billion. $116 billion. And that's just off of ad revenue. So now you're starting to understand why they care about your data. Now you're starting to understand why they want to spy on you and why you got to sign all these terms and conditions and this and that. And they got cookies on you. Hey, you want a cookie? You want a cookie, dude? What they really should call cookies is spyware. Then maybe you want to agree to it. But yeah, we kind of did it to ourselves, to be honest with you. We want everything to be free. And the only way for that to be possible is if you have sponsored advertisements. And that's cool. That's cool. If that's how we want to be, it puts us in a vulnerable position, but hey, we chose that position, right? But what my concern is that these tech companies who are collecting all this data and selling ads, they're misusing the data without any checks or balances. And two, even if they were looking out for the data, trying to protect it, even if that was their goal, they can't do it. They simply can't do it. Let's throw it back to 2018. Let's go ahead. Let's throw it back. Swing it back now, y'all. All right, we're throwing it back. Facebook gets caught misusing the data of 50 million users in the Cambridge Analytica scandal. In the Cambridge Analytica scandal. I remember that. I remember seeing that on the news. It was all over the news. It was a big deal. So they bring Zuckerberg in to testify in front of Congress, and I have never seen a bigger joke in my life. Zuckerberg's, what the fuck, I can't talk. Zuckerberg's robot ass comes up, beep boop bop, with his big ass eyes. But he came strapped, yo. He came prepared. He was ready for everything they threw at him, his fucking robot ass. He came to play. But you know who didn't come to play? Our congressmen and women, dude. That shit was sad to watch, dude. It was like watching puppies fight with bears, I swear to God. Zuckerberg's the bear, by the way, just so you guys know. Because our congressmen and women, after they committed these crimes, and they misused the personal data of 50 million Facebook users and gave it to Cambridge Analytica. And he had to answer for these crimes, right? But the congressmen and women, they just didn't understand the depth of the situation. They didn't even understand what to ask him or what was going on. They had no idea. And it was honestly kind of cool to see literally the gap being physically played out between technology, Facebook, Zuckerberg, and our laws, congressmen and women. Our lawmakers and our laws just simply aren't up to date, man. Like, something has to be done. We can't keep up. Our privacy is being violated so fast, and technology is being improved at such a high rate that we're so far behind, man. You know what the most fucked up thing is? Do you remember how much I told you Facebook made in 2018? $55 billion, right? Guess how much they fined Facebook for what they did? For giving away the personal information data of 50 million people. Guess how much they got fined? $5 billion. And they made this out to be the most unprecedented, biggest warning to all the other tech companies out there. $5 billion. $5 billion? $5 billion compared to $55 billion? So you're telling me you're paying around 10%? That's a fucking write-off. And these companies don't even pay taxes. So you're telling me 10% is all you gotta pay to make $50 billion? And do whatever the fuck you want and break the law and do whatever you fucking want? 10%? That's it? On top of not being taxed? Yo, that shit sounds nice, man. What kind of slap? Yo, I want one of those. Next time I get in trouble, please, yo, slap this wrist like that. What the fuck, 10%? I'm over here paying 33% on taxes on fucking nothing, bro. $50 billion. What the fuck is that, man? It's crazy, man. It really is. These tech companies who spend all their time spying and collecting all this data and they end up misusing it, they go unchecked. They have enough money to do whatever they want, and we are not even, our congressmen and women and our system is not even equipped to handle this. And you know what else is crazy? Even if these tech companies were trying to protect our data, if they weren't trying to sell, let's say they were operating above board, by the book, they were trying to protect us, they can't even do it. It's not possible. It's not possible to protect all that data. It's just simply not possible. And I wanted to bring up some examples for you guys. So I searched up 2020 user hacks, user data hacks, user data leaks, and you wouldn't believe how much information was populated. It was a book. Literally, I had a plethora to choose from. You know, I could choose whatever you want. But I got a good one for you guys because this one's fucking funny. So KeepNet Labs, which is a cybersecurity company based out of the UK, got hacked last March and lost 5 billion records. KeepNet Labs. Guess what kind of company that is? KeepNet Labs. It's a fucking cybersecurity company, which I just said. What the fuck? Anyways, a cybersecurity company can't even keep your information secure. A cybersecurity company whose fucking job it is to keep your personal data secure, they can't even do it. So let's say Facebook, Twitter, Google, Snapchat, all these big tech companies, they can't do it, man, even if they wanted to. There's no chance. Now, let me ask you again. Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel comfortable knowing that all this information about you is being collected and also it's not even secure? So not only do they violate your privacy on the one hand, then they smack you with a backhand on the other hand by not even taking care of your shit. And 33% of users that have their data leaked, they get their identity stolen. 33%. So let's say 5 billion records. Oh my God, I don't even want to think about it. Like, that's why all our social security numbers are on the fucking dark net. It's because of these companies. You know, you could just go buy it. I read an article where it said 45 million people's identities were for sale. Indian identities were for sale for $1,000 on the dark net. 45 million identities for $1,000. Like, dude, this is a problem. It's a huge problem. So I don't want to just be an alarmist and just sound off the alarm, you know, everything's going to shit. I want to actually see what we can do about this. And the way that we can see what we can do about this is by looking across the pond, our European brothers and sisters, right? The European Union. They're doing it right. They're leading the way in protecting their citizens' privacy. And the way that they're doing is they're closing the gap between big tech and laws. They're closing the gap. And the way that they're doing is they established a general data protection regulation. And listen to these rights given to the EU citizens. And let me know if these don't sound good to you. Number 1, right to access. gives people the right to access their personal data and information gives people the right to access their data and information about how it's being processed. Sounds nice, right? You got access to all the data they have about you. You could see everything that they have, and it gives you information to how it's being processed and what they're doing with it. Dope. I like that a lot. 2, right to be forgotten. Gives people the right to request an erasure of all data about them within 30 days. Wow. Now that's something. That right there is something. You can request to have all your data taken away, taken off the databases because it's not safe, because you want your privacy, and it takes 30 days. Sounds amazing. Number 3, right to object. Gives people the right to object from personal data being collected for the purpose of marketing. Bro, these European motherfuckers are in the future. They're in the future. They're like, what? I gotta go talk to them. I should be talking to them, not you guys, bro. God damn. And number 4, data controllers must implement measures that meet requirements for data protection. So I know I just said that even if they were trying to protect their data, they couldn't do it, which is true. So number 4 is like, you know. But listen, at least it's a step in the right direction, and at least that's what they're trying to do. At least they're trying. And how does that sound to you? It sounds great. It sounds pretty reasonable, right? It almost sounds like common sense, doesn't it? That's because it is. Over in Europe, they hold their government accountable. They hold the corporations accountable, and they say no to unwarranted collections and misuse of data. And it's possible for us to do the same. Not only is it possible, it's necessary. It's necessary for the sake of the future. And I made fun of it in the poem. You talk about the future. You talk about freedom. That's for real, man. That's really what this shit is about. We got to act before it's too late. And I know I told you we were gaining speed and it might be too late. But that's exactly why now's the time to hit the brakes. I'm telling you what's going on. I'm telling you what we can't do. We need to demand this shit ASAP. Or else we'll never be able to catch up to technology. You know? And one day it'll be too late, man. One day you will have no safety, no privacy, and no rights, no freedom of speech. It sounds crazy, but that's where we're heading, man. One day we're going to be looking like China if we don't say something, if we don't do something, if we don't care more. That's where we're heading. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. I had a load of fun making it. I had a load of fun looking this stuff up, and you know, I had a good time, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was informative. And if you like this subject, you have to read the book by George Orwell. It's called 1984. This book is pretty much what inspired me and got me privy to this subject. This book is amazing. Please go read it. It'll really open your eyes. This man wrote this book in 1948, predicting the future of 1984, and his predictions, how applicable they are to today's environment is mind-blowing. And also, you got to watch the documentary called Snowden about Edward Snowden. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have any of this information. So guys, thank you so much. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Do whatever you got to do. I love all you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I had a blast. Take it easy.